I'm extrapolating that I will be neither the chair or the vice chair going forward, but let me get us started here. So we are under the same format. This is a public meeting. And so at this point, we can be open to welcome everybody and do the introductions for the public. We don't have any public members here, correct?
Technically Dale is, but yes, we.
Who is?
He doesn't count.
Dale's not a member. I mean, he's a member of CAB, but he's not a member of the subcommittee or this ad hoc working group, I guess you could say.
Oh.
So this is an ad hoc working group and the members are Nicole, Terrence, Crawford, and Michael yourself. Because we wanted to keep it at 4.
Okay, so well, I don't know if we need to go through all the formalities though with the introductions, do we?
I think we're good.
I agree. I don't think that's a voting item, so let's just move forward. Is there any announcements? We can do that.
Not really. I mean, a lot of it's just the meat of it is in that recommendation stock.
Got it. All right. Is there any public comment, Dale?
No, thank you.
All right, so next item. So again, if folks don't know, ad hoc is just basically as needed this meeting. So with great intelligence, Nicole put election of ad hoc working group chair and vice chair as the next item, with the idea in case it's just going to move on to maybe a subsequent meeting, which in all possibility could actually happen after this calendar year is over. So with that being said, and wow, and there's a lot of folks to choose from. You there, Dr. Cole, as well? So
Yeah,
can you hear us?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you do have a bad connection.
He can post in
I
chat.
concur.
But you can hear us. Maybe you could do a thumbs up or something. But so at this point, we would need a chair and a vice chair of the ad hoc committee going forward.
Michael, I would like to nominate Dr. Terrence Cole for the chair.
Oh, I thought you were going to self-nominate. Thought you was going to volunteer.
Nope. You know, it might be helpful if he just called in to the call-in number rather than Zoom.
Oh, Crawford. You beat me to the punch. I was waiting on
Yeah, we have a really bad connection. I couldn't tell if are you yelling at Crawford or
Maybe he can do a thumbs up if he's
I don't know.
agrees to accept this nomination.
Well,
One thing came up in their last call, Michael, is the chair allowed to start a motion? Do you know? Or is it just not stated?
I've looked at this. I haven't seen anything
preferred.
saying that you can't. I think I've done it before.
Okay.
Robert's rules say you can.
Well, I don't know if Terrence is able to put in the chat or a thumbs up that he agrees to the nomination, or is there a thumbs down in Zoom? I'm not sure if there is.
They're skull and crossbones, I think.
Oh, let me, oh, you're right, there is. Oh, wait a minute, there's kind of a face that has its mouth wide open. Maybe that in chat, maybe we use that. Like, oh my God.
Or there's one
Is
with
there a
tears.
nomination for vice chair? And vice chair can take over until the chair.
Yeah, so
What about Nicole? I nominate Nicole since she's not here. That's what she gets for not showing up.
Hmm.
so are you, would you be open being the vice chair, Crawford, for the ad hoc? You know, there just may only be one more meeting if that.
Well, okay.
And
Okay,
We still haven't got a confirmation from Terrence, actually.
yeah. Well, he's the chair.
Well, we haven't got that confirmation yet, have we?
Can we send him a note and send him that dial-in number?
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Oh, there he goes.
He does agree.
Okay.
All right. And with that, hey, and you're gonna love this, Crawford. So again, so you agree to do the vice chair as far as this ad hoc committee goes?
I will be Terrence's wingman. Yes.
All right, but okay. So do we need to actually, how do we vote for this? Do we just?
We have to vote separately because,
Yeah.
well, separately for the chair and separately, let's just do this quickly, okay? Let's make a motion, someone make a motion to.
Yeah, I have a
for
motion
chair.
that Dr. Terrence Cole be the chair of the ad hoc committee.
I second the motion.
Okay.
I vote aye.
I vote aye. See, Michael, I like working with you. We don't play around.
Okay. So that motion passes unanimously. So
Well-
congratulations, Dr. Cole, you are the chair of this ad hoc working group.
Yeah, and I have another motion that Crawford Carpenter serve as the vice chair on this ad hoc operation guidelines work group meeting. Can you second, Terrence?
I think he did. He gave a thumbs up,
Oh, cool.
Oh, we did?
I couldn't see it.
and now in the chat.
All right. So at this
Okay.
point, we would vote. I vote aye.
Crawford,
Did I abstain since it's myself?
okay.
You can vote no,
Okay,
but it's
motion
not gonna help. We outvoted you.
Motion carries.
Okay, we did it.
Okay. Oh, man, okay. All right, that's painfully done.
Hey, so I'm gonna step back and ride along now, but as protocol goes, so if that's why when you said about the wingman, now, if Terrence can't really access all our information, then the vice chair may have to take us through the rest of the
Oh, come on, Michael. And Terrence, I quit just seeing that clap. I quit. Okay.
You're having too much fun.
Hey, but wait a minute, but we need to, doggone it. Hey, good things happen when you have fun. Okay, let's roll.
Yep. So then the next agenda item is agenda item 4, and that's,
Yeah.
I think, for us to present to you what we found as far as recommendations are concerned for, maybe we take a step back of why we're here. Well, one of the reasons why we decided to put this ad hoc working group together was to address some of the commitment language in the operating guidelines, but also more importantly, at least from our perspective, was the quorum making sure that we can amend the bylaws in a way to ensure quorum moving forward. And so that's really what highlighted the need for this particular ad hoc working group. I know that there might be some other things that the members are interested in looking at as far as language is concerned, but we can go ahead and move forward. Monique, did you want to present this or would you like me to?
I'll go ahead and present it.
Okay, okay.
So starting with attachment 1, our first finding was in Article 2. And as Nicole stated, this is to help with the quorum issue that we've been having, to change some of the language in the operating guidelines so that we can move forward and continue with the good work that we need to do instead of canceling meetings. So, so we just tweaked section 2 a little bit to say members of the CAB agreed to participate in all regular monthly meetings of the CAB
Get the key?
as described in Article 5, Section 2 and 3. And we chose to delete the bottom part of that. So it would just state that, and then it'll continue with the next paragraph. It's just simplifying the language so that members are required to attend all regular meetings, and also to avoid, hopefully avoid the mandatory absenteeism, to where we wouldn't have to vote to have a member step down or disqualify them from the committee. So in addition to attending meetings, members must participate in at least one of the CAB committees. During their term of service, the CAB has 3 standing committees: the policy and budget, programs and services, and outreach and community engagement. And so all the CAB working groups and standing committees must include at least one CAB member to act as a chair. So that's the first part that we modified.
I have a question, maybe before you go on, do you want to go through everything first, or, because I've got a question in this area, or do you want us to cover the questions, or do you want to go through it first? What's the best?
You know what, I think if you have, let's do it section by section. So if you have a question or comment about this section, since we're in this section, why don't we go ahead and take the question?
I do in Article 2. And this is kind of, we said we were going to go through this document. I thought we had subcommittees of CAB, yet we refer to them as committees. So if we're going to clean it up, either we're a committee or we're a subcommittee.
So we do have a section for the subcommittees, but I think the reason why we chose to just say committees in this section is to avoid any confusion about the committees versus subcommittees. So Nicole, is that correct? That's what we discussed as far as
the language probably should say subcommittee, but it says committees right now. And when it says standing committees, it is referring to subcommittees. We just didn't want to make those kind of grammatical changes. We're happy to, but just for the purposes of this meeting, we didn't want to have it all marked up, because that would be a lot of markups. They're kind of hard to see. I initially myself was going in that direction, but if that's a change that the committee would like to clear up, I think it's something that we could take on from administratively making those grammatic changes. We just didn't want to mark up the whole thing and wanted to focus more on the heavy hitters as far as the changes that we're wanting to make. But I hear what you're saying, Crawford. It is a little confusing because it was for me too. But it is referring to subcommittees when it says standing committees.
and we can definitely make that change if the committee would like us to say 3 subcommittees.
Okay, well, again, I just thought I would bring that up, and thank you for considering that. I'll leave that alone for the time being so we can move on. Okay.
Okay, so do we have any other comments or questions about this section?
I was just gonna clarify the sentence that looks like it's removed. It was actually moved. The part where it says that members need to make a reasonable effort to attend at least half the CCP meetings. We moved it because we felt like the commitment, it was just kind of overpowering the commitment to the full body and the subcommittees, and just rearranged it. It's still there. It's just we put it at the end because it's kind of more, as far as a priority is concerned, not as much of a priority than attending the full body and one subcommittee.
Okay.
Dale has his hand raised. Yes, Dale. You're on mute.
Sorry, thank you. Since
Mhm.
CAB is a community advisory board, then calling these three committees is not inconsistent. If CAB was called a committee, then it would be really confusing. But since CAB is a board, then it would be okay for these, I think, to be called committees.
And I think that that's why this language says it like that. I think you're right, Dale.
Mike, if you go to the charter, then the charters aren't correct. Pardon me, I shouldn't say that. I believe the charters refer to each of those groups, and I hate to get involved in minutia, but I thought that was the purpose of the ad hoc committee. We're gonna go through and clean this son of a gun up. So if we're gonna clean it up, I think we should also take a look at the charter, and I think the charter refers to these, the charter for CAB refers to these as subcommittees. I may be incorrect, but I think it does. So therefore, if that's what the charter says, shouldn't we, clean this up? That's all I was getting at. But again, I think we're going to get caught in the weeds. Maybe we
Yeah.
need to get to the meat of what you wanted to accomplish, do those things, and then have another meeting and get in the weeds. Would that be more
Yeah, I mean,
appropriate?
there's a difference between, so a lot of the things that we're doing here is, well, one of the biggest things is to introduce a new language that's brand new that would have to go through county council, where some of these grammatical changes, I don't necessarily think would have to. And we would like to, specifically the quorum piece, get that approved like before the first of the year so that we can, so that it might just have to prioritize what it is that we're tackling. But
Perfect.
welcome any feedback.
And if I could submit, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of weeks to me, just that we just have a note that we just need to be consistent with standing committee and subcommittee. So that should be easy fix, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. But again, I don't want to drag our feet here, Michael.
And it looks like there's consensus. Dr. Cole has his thumbs up, so.
Okay, good. Article 3.
Okay,
Hey,
moving
and
right
can I just
along.
add one thing? I swear, so just on the fact of the work that we did, I did attend CCP meetings, but I swear I didn't even know for 2.5 years that whole section about effort to attend half of the CCP meetings was in the bylaws. So
Right.
we got to make sure folks know that coming into the retreat.
Now, is that for every member to attend?
Yes.
So they have to be mindful of how many people are attending, right?
They all can attend. It's just not all of them can actually like participate, right? Because of quorum and stuff.
Okay,
They can all attend. They just have to, mute themselves. If there's going to be someone that's going to speak on behalf of CAB, that would just need to be coordinated in advance. But all of them should be able to attend. It's just not all of them can participate at the same time because of that. so.
okay.
Yeah.
Dale, is your hand raised again? I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry if I may not have lowered
That's
it. I
okay. No
apologize.
worries. No worries.
Yeah, I was, and I I've been trying to locate a document that might have the answer for Crawford. I was looking for a document.
Okay. Do we want to move on to the next article? Maybe come back to this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the one controlling that. Sorry. I
That's
was waiting for
okay.
someone to move it.
That's okay. So Article 3 is on membership. So in section 2, it talks about members shall serve one-year terms that begin January 1st and conclude December 31st. And so it says a member may renew their eligibility for CAB membership at the conclusion of each term. Then it says no CAB member shall serve for more than 3 years. Members who have not served at least 2 consecutive years within the initial term may be eligible for a subsequent term. And then we struck out, no CAB members may serve for more than 3 years without first giving up their CAB membership for at least 2 years. In no event can a CAB member serve more than 3 years in any 5 consecutive terms. Group to decide if they want to explore amending the term length. So is that a consideration from any of the members? Or do you think 3 years is sufficient?
I don't know. Was this a discussion in the subcommittee? I don't know.
It's been brought up in regards to commitment if, and I think Jill Ray had even presented it to the subcommittee that maybe looking at extending the term length might help with the quality of candidates that you get, as far as from a commitment standpoint. I don't know if that's proven. Only because we are staffed, the racial justice oversight body, who have 2 years in their term, and we still see the same issues with commitment and not showing up or just turnover. I don't know if the length of the term is, it's not required 3 years. It's an option, right? It's really just a year term is what it is. With the hopes that you'll renew each year for up to 3 years.
Can I speak?
Mhm.
Yes.
I would recommend that it not be limited to a maximum of 3 years. But whatever the limit is, because we have lack of membership in certain portions of the county, I would think that there could be a provision that if someone is living in one of the locations of the county, a member, and there are insufficient representatives from that area, that person's that person's term may extend an additional year until you have until you have other people. I know Central is filled or will be filled as of January the 1st. But is it West that's going to be really lacking, or? Yeah.
Dr. Cole has a question in the chat. In the past, has a member served longer or shorter than 2 or 3 years?
Well, we've had the whole range. So we've had folks that have just done the 1 year and participated and said thanks, no thanks, or I can't, it's too much for me, I can't do it another year. And then you've had folks do that 1-2 years, or the reason why we're here because there wasn't as much participation, they just fell off. You know, we've had the folks just kind of fall off and then send their letter in. So we've had the whole range.
I think
Which
that you
di-
saw that this year, right? You had a brand new one that fell off pretty immediately after the
Mhm.
retreat.
Right.
You had one that had completed 1 year and halfway through this year had resigned. So you've kind of seen that.
Which
But then you've
district-
seen you, Devon, Shayla, and Michael and yourself do the whole 3 years. So
Which district are you in, Michael?
I'm east.
East? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But again, I strongly agree with well, let me put it this way. And maybe I perceived it incorrectly, and I felt like there was some blowback about our distribution of members. So from the get. So and maybe it's just my perception. I know I was happy that we just had 15 people. I was really happy that we actually had a full board. Quorum was not going to be issued for the general meetings. So with that being said, that kind of what Dale said, maybe that's something to look at. Maybe it's not something that's going to be in there right this moment, but then because it's not even an issue at this point, because we're only going to have one person from West going forward. And I believe the other, we're losing two?
So just so I understand the scenario here, because I'm taking minutes here. Dale, so what you're recommending is that, let's just say, for instance, use Michael as an example, he's terming out. That a provision that would allow Michael to stay on and extend his time with CAB because someone in his region is vacant, or just in general, there's a vacancy?
No, it's a region. So it'd be in an effort to maintain, I would say, I just wrote this little quick note. In an effort to maintain proportional representation, a member may be,
In
I
the
don't
region
know.
that you're assigned to.
Yes,
Yes,
So you are what, you're central? No, you're east. Okay, that makes sense.
in an effort to maintain proportional because section 1 talks about that we should represent geographical, gender, culture, and ethnic diversity of the community. So maybe I agree. Maybe it'd be something about
So
that.
what if there isn't vacancies? Because there isn't a whole lot of vacancies in East County, but we have vacancies in West. So this provision wouldn't allow you to stay on, Michael, because it's not the region that needs
Correct.
a member.
And
Right.
that
And
is,
you're okay with that? Okay.
oh no, that's what I'm hearing. The
Oh.
fact that I guess basically you can be allowed to remain. You could opt for another year if that helps the board maintain proportional representation. Member may be, I can't.
What I'm saying is I'm just using you as an example, like that provision would not allow you to, if this was to pass, that provision wouldn't allow you to, because you're East Bay, you're East County.
No,
right?
that provision would apply if the East looked like the West does right now.
Got it. Okay. Yes.
Even if
Or-
it's more
or-
than 3 years,
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Maybe
Right,
additional
because-
year.
but it says in no event can a CAB member serve more than 3 years in any 5 consecutive terms.
Yeah. Well, we would have to change the language, this whole language to account for this.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I'm
I
not
would
gonna
think
do
that
that right
even,
there now, but
I
I
would
just want to
think, that-
understand the concept so that we can go back to, from a language standpoint.
I
after
would think that in the east, for instance, if the east was going to be short one person because Michael is terming out, that he could stay on for one more year so that the east still has a full complement.
Right.
That's my thought.
Got it. Okay.
And then back to the original question, I think the 1 year, just give us 1 year, you can do up to 3 years. I think that's good. I mean, I'm looking at some other stuff after this board, and you know, I've seen stuff when they're like, "Oh, this board's for 4 years." I'm like, that's too long. I mean,
But I think that you aren't committing yourself to 4 years or 3 years when you first come on. All we can commit ourselves to is 1 year, really.
yeah, on this one, I think I like. I guess I'm saying because I think that's the question that was raised. I like the fact that I don't feel like we should increase the minimum expectation.
And
wanna
Dr.
vote.
Cole, go ahead, Michael, sorry.
But
Dr. Cole has in the chat, the provision may be considered a contingency plan based on terms or conditions.
Hmm. Michael, you're on mute.
yeah, man, that's a question for dealing with this. What is this like etched in stone? What is, is that a non-starter about the time frame?
Sorry.
He's wondering if this is etched in stone. I think whatever you propose as a group, as an ad hoc committee, we make the changes, and then after all of this is said and done, we send it to county council and see if it's approved there as far as the language is concerned. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we basically we don't have to have the language defined exactly to the T in this meeting. It's more of the concept. So like right now, I'm highlighting the fact that we want to have some consistencies with the language on standing committees, to say standing subcommittees, if that's and county council might say what I bet Dale was communicating that is accurate, and that we would just stick with that. If not, then we would change it to standing subcommittees if that's more accurate.
No,
I'm
standing.
also- Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was that was the question. If standing committees is fine, then we just need to be consistent across all our
Right.
documents.
Correct. I
And
mean,
that's what I don't know. I don't know if that's fine or
Okay.
not. I don't have an answer for you.
Because I agree with Dale. If we're a board, advisory board, then any office is a committee, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a subcommittee.
Well,
Yeah.
I have the operating guidelines open. I found them, and it refers to standing committees, just like the word is in the document you're looking at. In fact, there's an error in the operating guidelines where it says standing lowercase c, uppercase c for committees. There's a lowercase c stuck in between the two, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's
this
beside
hasn't
the,
been touched and I don't know how long. I'm sure there's all kinds of errors.
yeah. But
No
my
one
point
has
is,
updated them.
it says has 3 standing committees. Yeah,
Correct. That's the whole point. And
Yeah.
so our references to subcommittees, we just should forget about that. We're all standing committees of CAB, then we move on.
Okay.
And that's what the charter says that we're all reading from right now at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
fine.
And so the other piece that I'm collecting is that we want to put a provision in to extend the term length by 1 year to maintain portionality within the region that the member is assigned to.
Yeah, and what are you guys thinking that we're saying that, that folks are eligible to do that, I guess, just to continue, right?
yeah, it would not be automatic.
No.
Or the person wouldn't be required, I guess,
No.
is the way to put it, huh?
Right,
That-
yeah, that's the language I'm looking for, but yeah, yes, Nicole, I think that's what I heard.
You know, I think there has to be
Well-
some, oh, go ahead, Michael.
In an effort to maintain proportional representation, a member may be granted another year of service on the board or whatever.
Oh,
So,
that's perfect.
something to that effect.
Yeah,
A 4th year.
you're very erudite.
I'm arrogant. I've been called arrogant.
No,
before.
no, erudite. Yeah.
I heard you.
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
even the last sentence, I mean, to be honest, I struggle with this section right here because to me, it doesn't make sense. The last sentence there, that no event can member serve more than 3 years in any 5 consecutive terms. I don't understand that.
Why don't we delete it then?
Well, I just don't, I don't understand. I don't know how to, I
Yeah.
don't understand that. How can
So-
someone serve 5 consecutive terms? That would be
No, they're
5
saying,
years.
no, they're saying in basically what they're trying to say is that in 5 years, in 5 consecutive cab years, you cannot serve more than 3. So I couldn't
Okay,
like,
so, and that's
so-
what that other statement that we got rid of is saying, right?
no, well,
That 3 years, you have to wait 2 years to be able to serve again.
Yeah, you could change that.
right, because if you're saying that, then that's saying the same thing, because so I couldn't like serve 1 year on cab. Yeah, so it would be like, I can't serve 1 year at cab, come back, stay, stop a year, and then do 3 years. Because then that's more than
Right.
3 in a 5-year period.
Right.
That's what they're trying to say.
Okay.
You know, what you might want to
If it makes
consider
sense
is,
to you, that's what matters. I'm sorry.
No,
it doesn't-
I'm
this whole
not
section
saying it
doesn't make
makes a
sense to
great
me.
sense, but it's the terms, it's the words, because one's
Well-
saying 3 years. And
All right, I
then,
gotta take a call real quick, Monique. Do you mind taking over?
Okay, no, I don't mind. I do have a question though. So each year each member is supposed to agree to serving another year, right? So is that
Yes.
currently happening?
oh, we did that early because I was panicking.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Michael, I've got a question here. We're going into the next year with the potential of being, I think, short 3 people or 5 people, 3 alternates and 2 regular members.
Yes.
Might we want to consider, if that continues, where we don't have the full cab board, have wording if quorum dictates that we do not have enough individuals, a previously termed out person may serve. At least that gives us the ability to have quorum.
that's an interesting point.
And then that may feed into what you're saying for proportional representation. Maybe the real question is total representation of cab first, followed by proportional representation?
Well, and that's why I brought that up, where
Yeah.
I was being honest. I don't know if it was just how I was feeling, but I tended to lean toward quorum and having a full board, and was more important than more than proportionality.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
Yes.
and I know I mentioned that I work government, and I started looking for those words like shall and will. Those words were not in there. It's pretty much every attempt will be made, or the
Thank
goal
you.
is to.
Yeah.
So
Well, Michael, here's, think of our current situation. Maybe if we think through this, maybe, let's say you stay on, and I think you said Nicole, or let's say somebody else stays on. And then we are able to bring people in as alternates. Once we get a full alternate complexion with our board, then we go to the member or members who are in their 4th term, and we say, hey, look, we appreciate what you've done. If you would like to step aside, we're ready for you to step aside. Then the alternate moves in, and then we've got a board again, and we kind of adhere to the 3-year situation, if that's a concern that people may have. I was just looking at flexibility to get a full quorum.
Well,
Go ahead, please.
well, but also quorum. So the 3 years I've been on the board, quorum hasn't been a real, it got dicey for just a little bit, but for the most part, for the full board, quorum hasn't been an issue.
Okay,
Because I mean, because at one point we got down to 9, and I know, or 8 people. So that was kind of, that was kind of dicey. But I think you're going into next year with 11.
I think 10 or 11.
10 or 11.
Yeah, I think it's 11,
Okay. So
or 12. 12, because we're vacant 2 spots or 3 spots. And then we're vacant two spots in West County. And then the 3 alternates are vacant as
So
well.
that's 5, yeah.
5 people, right?
that'd be
Yeah,
10.
but for the purpose of the CAB board, we're missing 2 permanent members. So I was trying to focus
Correct.
on, do we want to make sure we have a full CAB board and then work like the Dickens? Because I know our committee has some plans for making sure that we can kind of have resources flowing into those alternate chairs or seats.
I'm wondering if we don't have new blood, so to speak, for the alternates. I'm wondering if Michael, for instance, or anyone in his position could, once they term out, could become an alternate.
Ah,
They're not a voting member anyway, so I what do you think about that? I know you may not want to do that, Michael, but I'm just thinking in terms of the possibility.
Dr. Cole has his thumbs up, meaning he agrees with that, and he agreed with another point prior to this.
well, maybe we're on the right track.
I'm also thinking that instead of requiring, once you term out, instead of requiring that you be off for 2 years before you can come back, that it be just 1 year. So it would make it change the word 5 to 4.
Hmm.
Because if Michael, for instance, if he was willing to come back, he's such a valuable person and his knowledge is so valuable that it would be nice if he could come back after a 1 year absence instead of be gone 2 years.
Well, maybe that's something we need to think about and process out and then move forward with these other recommendations. So at least we
Yeah.
move through it and then we kind of put a star on the items we have to come back and really process. Would that be helpful, Monique? Just put a
Yes.
star?
Mhm, I made a note of that for this section for the purpose of Nicole updating the minutes, but also for us to come back to that item. So I'll go
Perfect.
ahead and go to the next item. Just
Okay,
one
now,
second.
a point
Go
of,
ahead.
just a point of clarification, Monique. I had a question for section 1 in Article 3. Now, do you want to complete Article 3 and then come back to my question in section 1 of Article 3?
No, we can go ahead and take section 1 now,
Okay,
the question you have.
yeah, just a quick question. I'm reading the second paragraph where it says here, correct. And it says CAB members may include representatives of community groups, service providers, working with people with criminal backgrounds, members of the criminal justice system, etc. Well, something dawned on me when we're doing our budgets. We have members of community groups or CBOs who vote on funding. It just dawned on me when I read that. For example, we just did the funding for, what is it, AB 109 for the county. So all of us vote yay or nay on the recommendation. Well, don't we have some members that may be part of those CBOs and literally they would be voting on funds for the organizations that they're part of?
I got to answer.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
so that question you asked, that was the question that I raised when I first was voluntold or suggested that I join CAF by my boss. And that was my question. And the fact that we are an advisory board, that's kind of what the difference piece is, because it didn't make sense to me either. Where so what we just moved forward as CAB was a 3% COLA for CBOs. I work for a CBO, so my understanding and how I was told, just the nature of how our board is put together, and that we're not necessarily even the decision makers, that there's not that conflict, because I thought it was
Okay.
something else too.
We're
okay, well,
dealing with the issue of, in Rossmore, of recusing yourself. And when you
That's-
need to recuse yourself, and you need to recuse yourself if what you're voting on, you would benefit financially from. So I suppose if someone received their salary from an organization, then they are personally benefiting financially from the decision. So they might need to recuse themselves, and maybe the county council's office needs to provide some direction for that.
see,
Well-
Dale, you and I are kind of singing from the same sheet of music. And I even thought maybe what we do is, like when we vote on the budget that we just voted on, rather than voting on the budget as a whole, we vote on each component. Then that gives Michael a chance to say yay, 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 until they come to his particular group that he's a part of. And then he recuses himself and we
Well-
move on.
I think the generalness of it, and the way our board's set up, that insulates me from that, where I'd have to where I'd have feel like I'd have to recuse my step back. So for instance, if CAB had some overlook on the RFPs that are coming through. So basically next month they're going to start the RFPs for the CBOs providing all the services under AB 109 except for Rubicon. So let's just say that came to the board, and part of that recommendation would be to accept the RFP for Health Right 360. That one I'd have to sit out. But the way I understood it, I didn't need to recluse myself. Or you're going to say, you know what, what we did, because there's no guarantee that Health Right's going to get that contract. But like what we did, we sat down saying, you know what, there should be a COLA for all the providers. Because I know Lila had that same question last year with Rubicon, with the 4-year contract and all that.
I see.
So,
Well,
I-
again, I did, excuse me, Gail. Dale.
The advantage of doing it, what you're recommending, Crawford, is that because we might have several members that are whose organizations are receiving finances. And so if you take it item by item or whatever, program by program, then you're only having maybe one person have to recuse themselves, because then we're not going to run into a problem of not enough members to vote on something.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And see, let me give you the example. I served on a planning commission for a town in Illinois. And we had to naturally approve various construction items, etc. I worked for a company that was owned by Mobil Oil.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mobil Oil had a certain kind of theme car wash that they were going to put in the town. And because I worked, even though my company was owned by Mobil Oil Company, I had to recuse myself.
Yes,
And I did because we were a public entity and everything was fine.
yes,
And I just think when we do it that way, there is no question. See, we don't want questions raised as to
right,
intent, etc.
right.
And if we
right.
just go through it and then, Michael or person XYZ who works for a company, a CBO, they're still covered. They recuse, then we go to the next one. Michael says
Right.
yes. Michael says yes.
Precisely.
Michael, yes. These, in my view, that is the way that our bylaws should read, so that we protect everybody to the nth degree.
So what we can do is, I made note of that, so we could definitely bring that to county council's attention.
Okay,
And we can see legally what their take on it,
okay, fine,
is.
fine.
Monique, do you think
Yes.
it would ever be possible that we would be voting on financial thing where nobody on the board would be employed by one of the agencies? Do you think
Based
that,
on past practice, probably
Yeah.
not, because they've always been a part of the community and
Sure.
the contracts, but I'm not sure.
Well,
I mean, I
like
guess
maybe
it's
your legal aid,
possible.
like legal aid services, I know are not on it now. They were at one point, the person that was awarded the contract for legal aid. I think Adam Poe, wasn't Michael Adam Poe, who worked for Bay Area Legal Aid, who's a contractor for the service of legal aid services.
Might have
He
been
was
on there
on
before
the-
I was on there, but
Yeah, but there are some services that we vote on that we don't have a representative on CAB. I don't think we have Center Force Family Reunification. I don't think that we have a rep from.
Oh, well. I just wanted to throw those points out because I know we may want to move forward. And again, just to throw out something to set the stage, I guess, for the next meeting, so we can really process the things that we're bringing up today.
I think it's a good point to bring up to county council, just to ask them.
yeah,
So, okay, so I will go ahead and move on to the next section. We were done with this section, I believe, right? Section 2. So
Yes.
the next item is,
So I see a message from Terrence that he has a meeting to jump onto at 2:15. If that's the case, I really want to get to the quorum piece because that's what this meeting was all about. And
Okay.
I'd be ashamed to leave here without at least understanding the concept of what we're going to push forward with county council.
okay, let me get to that section.
Because we're going to have to end the meeting once he leaves, unfortunately.
Okay, here we are. Article 6 cap committees. Oh, this is not it because this is just,
Yeah.
is this
no,
the
that's it.
section? Okay, okay,
That's it. So this was the language that we pulled, Dale, from the Council on Aging that you had provided us.
Yes.
It was brought to our attention by Jill Ray that language, she wasn't sure how that even got passed through county council because it's somewhat contradicting itself. Because to start a meeting, and we brought this extra language up in our last meeting, at our quarterly meeting for the Racial Justice Oversight Body as a concept as well. The piece that we did not include was that that quorum is not required to conduct a meeting. We took that piece out because it wasn't needed. So I think her concern was quorum is definitely a requirement to start a meeting. And that's very clear in the advisory handbook that the clerk of the board publishes on their county website. So I don't believe that county council will allow us to start a meeting unless we have quorum.
Okay,
But the piece that follows, I think, is what's more important. And so we do have that inquiry into county council, just that piece of it, not this entire operating guidelines, but just that language piece. But what we're trying to push through is the second part was to be able to have a discussion take place and items carried forward to the next meeting that are voting action items. So let's just say in this meeting, come 2:15, Terrence has to leave. We can have the discussion, we can continue the discussion with the operating guidelines with this provision. We just can't vote on anything.
Yes, that makes sense. Nicole.
That's what we're
Yes.
trying to get past. I think that they're gonna have to finesse this language differently. But I wanted us to highlight that the bylaws that we were going off of, the county, what is it, the Council on Aging? It sounds like that there's some questionable provisions in there that may not be in, that might be in violation of the Brown Act. So I don't know if those bylaws ever went through county council. Just for your information, that was what was presented to us. So, because we actually have that as an attachment in here, in this packet. So, what I was wanting to point out, and I wanted to kind of get everyone's take on it, because one of the things that I felt that this might be doing is undermining the role of the alternate member, right? Because we have an alternate member who is going to be kind of a pro tem member for the full body. But this is very specific to subcommittees, not for the full body, because we have a solution, and that's the alternate member for the full body.
Yes,
We
yes.
don't have alternates for subcommittees, so this is very specific to subcommittees, and that may not be clear in this language that this is specific to subcommittees, not all meetings, but just subcommittees. I just wanted to throw that out there.
In addition to that, Nicole, with the pro tem member, in this case specific, when Dr. Cole has to leave,
Right,
Dale could be voted in as a pro tem member for this meeting if this were passed.
right.
correct?
So there's two provisions that we're asking for. The one that's in red, I didn't put the other provision in here. The second provision is in the comment there. And that's about a pro tem member. And again, we presented this two concepts to the Racial Justice Oversight Body, and everyone was very happy to have felt that both provisions would be helpful for. So we got one provision that allows you to continue the discussion if you lose quorum. An additional provision would allow a pro tem member. So Dale, you are not a member of this ad hoc working group. We could
Right.
temporarily make you a pro tem member just for this meeting today. And then that will cease once the meeting ends.
Yeah,
So there are two
Perfect.
different provisions. Obviously, one of them requires a member to be there of the body to appoint someone to be a pro tem member. The other one allows you to just continue the discussion without that additional member.
sure. And
So-
the minutes would reflect that. So that
Right.
makes it legitimate. Yeah,
Right, and so that the benefit of that is that we could vote, right? If you are a pro tem member, now we can take on the voting action
Right.
items.
right.
So those kind of go tandem and to get together. So it'd be great to have these both get put in here, but wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that.
Nicole, could you take a look though at one sentence here? I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly. I'm in the second paragraph highlighted in blue, and I'm about 1, 2, 3, the fourth line down. It says, oh yeah, what is it? Oh, the member pro tem will be the chair of the full body. What the heck does that mean? You just
You can
appoint.
take that out of there, but what that means is that the chair has precedence if he's there or she. Vice chair, if the chair does not want to do it or is not there, the vice chair would then be, there's some succession there, right?
Oh, okay, because it doesn't
It's
say
giving,
that.
yeah, precedence to, or I guess the first right of refusal would be to the chair. If they're not there, then the vice chair, then anyone after that would be anyone from the full body.
Okay, all right. It maybe again, the wording may be a little choppy, but the concept, I love that concept.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that if you knew ahead of time, Nicole, that that you were going to be absent someone, you could then arrange to have someone
Right,
attend the
Right.
meeting who was not a member. Yeah, that's perfect.
right. And we've
Yes.
been trying to get ahead of that where we RSVP people before the meeting. We haven't,
Sure.
we're trying to get on a more regular, that being our process. But if we have these provisions, it would be even more beneficial for us to get RSVPs ahead of time so that we could plan.
So Dr. Cole had his thumbs up on this. So this section, it sounds like from the committee, they agree that we should move that forward so that we
Abs-
can resolve the quorum issue.
I'm
Absolutely.
curious, did you guys feel like this undermines the role of an alternate? At all? I can just see it coming up with county council saying, well, you have alternates for the full body. And maybe he'll just have these language be, instead of pro tem, it's something else, but,
Well,
don't
I
know.
guess the question could be, Nicole, can an alternate for the full body be the pro tem on a committee like this? If there wasn't a cab member that was available to be pro tem, could an alternate be invited to be the pro tem?
I was just typing for Terrence what the question is. If this pro tem member will undermine an alternate, the role of an alternate. But yeah, I think Dale, that would be something that we would need to clear up, possibly when we talk about the alternates above in a previous article.
Well, Nicole, couldn't we just add to the wording there? And again, as a suggestion, as a member of the full body or an alternative to the full body upon request of the standing committee. If we just put an
Yeah.
or in there, we've got our
Or-
bases covered.
Yeah, or an alternate,
Or,
yeah.
or an alternate to the full committee. I mean, to the full cab. Then we should be in good shape.
Yeah. And we'll
Okay.
communicate that to county council when we talk to them.
Okay, we're running short on time. What do you need us to vote on, Nicole? And Monique?
I didn't hear the conflict of interest part, but I mean, I guess the vote would be to adopt, and this is how we did it with the racial justice oversight body, is that we voted to adopt the concepts.
And we
Um,
did discuss the conflict of interest when you were away. So that'll be a conversation that we'll take to county council. And then
Right,
they agreed on that.
right. I think there was one other concept, and that was absences, identifying the number of absences within a subcommittee. Right now, it's just very specific to the full body. If there was any thoughts or on whether or not that would be beneficial to adopt a limit for subcommittee absences. And that was the only other thing, but I don't think that that's critical right now.
Maybe we use Michael's wording. We don't use shall or will. I like Michael's wording. Maybe we put that in there. What do you think, Michael? Because we don't want to run people away, things happen, but we want you to attend.
Right. Well, and we don't, like I said, we don't take attendance. Someone being absent for a subcommittee is not, I think that there would be a way to interpret that in the bylaws that someone's not fulfilling their duties, but it is not it does not go against their 3 absences
Okay.
right now. And that was the only call out there.
Yeah,
And maybe it's too much to just try to put that both in. I think it's,
well,
it was
since
just a thought.
quorum is so important, we certainly don't want someone on a committee that consistently is not there.
Right.
Yeah.
So our recommendation was if you did adopt a separate limit, that it would be 3 full bodies that they can't miss, and they can't miss any more than 2 subcommittee meetings. Was a number that we threw out there.
And that's within the year.
Yes.
But it sounds like, Dale, you mentioned that we should not put a restriction on the subcommittee because of the lack of quorum, is what I think I heard. Is that correct?
No. We do want the restriction of absences on a subcommittee because the numbers of people are so small that a quorum is really affected if someone consistently is not appearing on a subcommittee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the time. I'm not sure how to move forward on this because we need to talk about how we move forward and if we need to have more meetings or if we're just taking the concept and moving forward with county council with are you guys adopting the concepts?
I thought we had to come back. I thought there were two things you wanted us to vote on that you could go forward with. Then we would do that. After that, we were going to circle back and go through the kind of nitpicking that we were doing earlier. I thought that was our process. We're not
Okay.
trying to do everything in one meeting. To do it right, I think we've met the two major things you want accomplished.
Yeah.
Let's do that and then
Okay.
call it quits. Terrence has got 4 minutes by my clock here. And then the rest of us can talk if we want about the remaining things. Monique could make notes and then we know where to start when Terrence, Dr. Cole turns or calls our next meeting. How's
What I'm
that?
saying is that he's leaving in 4 minutes. We have to adjourn the meeting. That's what I'm saying.
We can't just continue
No.
talking. Oh, I
No.
got you. Okay. All right.
So it sounds like that there might need to be another meeting to follow up on maybe some of these other little things.
Yeah.
Well, don't put this comment in the notes or in the minutes, but there isn't any other public here, so no one would know the difference.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're
Except
being,
for
Except for the fact
recorded.
that this is recorded.
it's
and
recorded.
It'll be
Oh.
posted on YouTube, but other
Oh,
than that,
shoot. Oh, shoot. Oh, oops.
it's okay.
Hey,
It's all right.
but Terrence and Crawford, and if this does go into the next year, I will be here as a public member to see this through. So if it does overlap, I will participate as a public member.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Go
one
for it. Okay.
quick question. Would it be possible, let's say, I've got a copy of what you sent us here, the operating guidelines. Would it be possible if I made notes on mine and then I sat down with you and we could go over them just independently? Is that permissible? Or
I'm
do
not
you have?
sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not
Other-
meeting as a
other-
group, but just meeting with one of you and staff. Are we allowed to meet with staff?
Yes. But depending on what the changes are, are recommended, it might be something worth the full body, or at least this subcommittee looking at. Because we still have to report back to the full body on this, so, I don't know. I don't have the answer to your question. Sorry, Croft. I don't know what the process would be if you just have some comments and you want to work with this office.
See, I was thinking very much like what we did in our subcommittee, let's say I make some comments, give them to you, then you put those comments, you send them to Michael, you send them independently to Dr. Cole, and then boom, when we come back together, you kind of got a package and we're not, doing what we're doing now, doing a lot of yakking and not really getting, well, I shouldn't say not getting to the meat, but it may make the process a little smoother because we got comments from everybody, then you can deal with the comments. You've already had a chance to look at them, to kind of synthesize them, and you're moving.
So Dr. Cole has to leave. Can they
Okay.
adjourn with just the two of them, Nicole, or no?
And we have to adjourn the meeting if he's leaving,
Okay.
so.
Oh, I thought, okay. Oh, that's right, because we have 4 and a quorum is 3, correct? Okay.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Okay.
So I think at this point, I was hoping that we could get a motion to move at least some of this more important stuff forward, but unfortunately we didn't get time to do that. So,
I thought that's what we just did, didn't we?
well, I mean, we have consensus. If you guys are okay with moving forward with a consensus, we didn't actually vote, but,
Well, and it's not really on here as a voting item per se, but yeah, I think as long as we have consensus, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
So we'll have to reconvene offline as far as the next meeting, what that would look like, or, and I think even internally, we need to figure out what the process is. If we need to bring this to the full body before we bring this to council or not, I'm not sure.
Alright.
This is new to both of us, so. We had the Racial Justice Oversight Body actually voted on this in their full body meeting. And so they got a full vote on it to adopt it and to move forward with the county council, so.
So we're adjourned, huh?
Yes,
Okay,
so 2:16.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Nicole, I need to talk to you. Oh, she's gone.
I'll let her know, Michael.
I don't
You
know.
need to talk to her?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let her know.
All right.
Okay, bye.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.